So the second part of this video, I'm going to conclude showing you how I built this. This is pretty much finished. It's one of those chalked matte paints, so it's pretty much picking up fingerprints and all sorts of scratches. So this will get a clear coat on top of it. That will not make it into the video. It's probably going to get a water-based clear just because of time restraints, and honestly on film, the finished product, you can't really tell when it has a clear on it or not, at least on this camera. So this is basically what it's going to look like. Obviously it is red, and it was nice to paint something a color versus white all the time. I find it easier to do as well, because you could see what spots you've hit a lot easier than white on white. But you can see the mechanism works very smoothly for both cans. And the hardware and everything was picked up by the customer, and they wanted it mounted on the face so that you could see it, which made the construction much easier. If you wanted hidden hardware, you could do it, but it would be a little bit more of a challenging task to do something like that. But this is pretty much it. So to make the doors, I'm making them somewhat similar to how I would make cabinet doors. So I'm starting off with poplar, and this poplar I get from Lowe's. It's 3/4 inch poplar, which means it's already planed and faced, so I could start making the doors right away. I don't have to worry about planing or jointing materials. So I'm just cutting these down to my rough dimensions so that they're a little bit easier to send through the table saw. And I'm going to be making bridal joints at the end of these instead of just regular tongue and groove. And the reason I'm doing that is because the tongue will go all the way through a larger joint, which will make them more structurally sound. And that is just because I'm assuming these are going in a kitchen, and kitchen trash is not usually super heavy. But I'm also assuming one of these is recycling, and if you put a bunch of beer bottles into a recycling container, or any sort of glass really, they can get kind of heavy. So I was a little concerned with the structure of the doors being as strong as possible. So the tops of these are about 3 inches wide, and then the sides are a little bit thinner, and once again that's just because I'm working off of a photo, and in the photo you could tell that the rails are a little bit thicker than the stiles. So I have my tenon jig on my table saw, and I'm just going through. This is all the way up to the top, so it's cutting about a 3 inch curve. And you can see I'm cutting on one side, cutting on the other, and then I'll put it in the center and remove the excess. So this is cutting a rather large groove right down the center of all of my boards, and at this point these are all rough cut. So then once I have that, I did a test piece on some scrap poplar. You can see I could slide it in. It's a nice tight joint. So now I know that I have the measurements correctly set up on my table saw, and I could send through all of my pieces. I like to get these perfect with scrap before I do other materials. So you can see I have a stop on there so that these will be the exact distance off the blade every time. I have a thicker dado blade in there so that I can remove more material at once instead of the 1/8 inch blade that's usually in there. I could set it against the stop, and I'm removing the same amount of material on the bottom as the top. So I'll go through with all of my pieces. So at this point I'd final cut these down, and since they're bridal joints and they go all the way through, your two measurements are exactly the measurements of the opening. As you can see, I have a nice tight fit, and that is what the door frame is going to look like. That's what they look like in place. I made these to size. I've gotten pretty good at making these at this point. If you're a little nervous about your cuts, you can make them a little bit bigger and trim them down to size. If your opening is not square, you might have to do some finagling to get them in there. So since these fit together so nicely, and I didn't pre-cut my groove in the beginning, I just used a rabbiting bit to cut the groove in my panels. I also wanted the groove not centered. I wanted more material in the front, so that worked out nicely. I could set the depth where I wanted, and then once I had that groove, I could add the thickness of the groove to the opening of the frame there and cut my panels. So this is just pre-primed beadboard that I got at Lowe's. I think this was like a
4x5 sheet, a 3x5 or something. It was a weird size because I believe they use it for wainscoting. And then I could just trim those down. And then I could trim them down to length on the radial arm saw. This is basically masonite with a pattern on the front. So I cut both pieces at once, and then I could dry fit it in place. You can see just how nice and sturdy that joint is going to be once everything is glued together. So since I used a router, the corners were rounded, so I didn't show it in the video, but I had to remove a little bit of material from the inside corners just so that the square panel could fit in there. And everything fit nicely. As you can see, I put them up, and I really didn't have to do much trimming on these. A little bit of sanding. They fit really well because my cabinet was super square, so making these square and measuring them properly, they worked out really well. So I'm just going to add a liberal amount of glue on those tongues, and I never put glue on the panels because the panels are supposed to move within that frame. The masonite won't move, but the poplar will. So if the masonite is glued to the poplar, and this is in the middle of the summer where it's hot and humid in my shop, I don't have AC going in there, and then you bring it to an environment that's temperature controlled, this is most likely going to shrink a little bit. So I never glue my panels. So then I could fit them on top there. See how everything looks. This is all faced to the front. You can see now why that piece was proud. And these are the hinges that were in the photo. I got these off of Amazon. Amazon sent me one pack of the right hinges, one pack of the wrong. So that was kind of frustrating. I had to put this on the back burner for a couple days while the new hinges came. But when they came, very simple. I just lined them up so that that hinge joint is right over the joint in the cabinet. Could lay it on its back. I don't have to worry about holding things in place or them moving around on me. I could pre-drill and sink all those screws in, and that's what that's going to look like. The handle matched the hinges, so I found the distance between the two holes. I found center on my cabinet. I divided the distance between the two holes in half, and that's how far off of my center line I went. Really easy to mount stuff that way. And I didn't mount them all the way towards the top because you wanted to have some room from your hand. And then I installed a roller catch on these just so that the doors can't fly open. I find the easiest way to do that is to install the female piece on the inside of the cabinet. I took the backer off, and then I could just put the male piece and the female piece, mark those holes, and then drill in. You could do a bunch of measuring, but it's just much easier to do it this way. And then these I got off of, I believe, Amazon as well. I didn't love the quality of them. You can see I have to actually bend it a little bit to get it to work properly, but once I did, they lock in place pretty nicely. So then to finish up the doors, I have to put a dado groove, and that is how I'm going to attach the bottom, just so that there's a little more extra security with these pieces. I'm also going to add some 45s on the edges. So I have the door shimmed out 1/4 inch from the side. That's some scrap pieces there, and then as 3/4 inches will represent the 45s. And then I had my base in there, and I marked on the door where that base was. Then I'm marking on the bottom, and that's the groove I'm going to cut. Now the final groove I cheated up just a little bit, so I didn't want the bottom of the door to bind with the bottom of the cabinet, so I cheated it up like a 1/16 of an inch just so that they don't bind. And then I could put a 3/4 inch dado stack on my blade, and I could kind of creep up on my marks and cut that groove. So this is one of the reasons that footer was off center, was I wanted a nice big piece of material at the bottom of this cabinet door because I knew this was how I was going to attach it. So if that footer came all the way up to the bottom of the shelf, this rail and style wouldn't have worked for how I wanted to do this. That's why it is much lower. So the curved joint, I just chisel it square, and then my bottom board will fit in there nicely. So then I took some more scrap plywood. I believe this is leftover from that same sheet of plywood for this project, and I cut them into 45s. And then I attach those as well. So for now, I'm going to be using screws. I replace the screws with dowels. It's just easier when all this is drying to throw some screws in there, take them out, and replace them with dowels. So the 45s weren't in the original photo, but once again I added them because the weight of especially the recycling I think could get quite substantial, and this will just ensure that that door cannot pull off from that base. This will be permanently attached. It will also ensure everything stays square over time. So put 2 in the side and 1 in the front there, and like I said, this will all be replaced with dowels. And then I just let that dry overnight. You could see why, since I mounted these on the side, that's why I used that 3/4 inch shim when I did my original measurements. So then once they were dry, I could put everything back together and make sure that everything worked. I could put the cans in, and I was really happy with how everything was turning out at this point. So I sprayed this with the gun I got, and I'm really bad at cleaning these things out. So another reason why I like this gun is you could take it all apart. Some of them you can't, and I had to do that. I had to clean it out because I didn't clean it out from the last time I used it. And then I put 2 coats of primer on. This is sanding in between the first coat of primer. So I sprayed on that first coat of primer, sanded, and then I was running a little behind, so I primed before I edge banded all this. But you could see I went through and added the dowels, which is what that last clip was, and then you could see I edge banded all the edge of the plywood. The top is actually going to be stained. The barnwood's going to be stained. I believe this is special walnut minwax stain. I'm not a lover of the look of stained pine. However, old barnwood actually looks really nice when it's stained. So that is what this is, and it looks nicer than say getting 2x4s from the hardware store. And then the final coat of red. I don't film a lot of painting. It's not super interesting. So I put on 2 coats of this red. It is 1 coverage paint, and I believe it would have actually been 1 coverage, but spraying, you always have to do an extra coat because it goes on so thin. So if you were painting or rolling this, I believe this would have been one coverage paint. Spraying it, I did 2. And it is a matte finish, and this color matches the color the customer wanted. And then this is what I actually added a little bit of distressing. They wanted a little bit of distressing, nothing crazy. And this is what it looks like before clear.